Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. I was just trying to make sure my light is not too off. Let me try something here. I don't know if that's better or not. Maybe I got the computer too. Let me see. I guess that's a little better. Well, come on in, everybody. Make sure you hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And feel free to share the live out. This morning, we're going to be discussing days 9 and 10 of the Joshua Keadle trial, which is regarding the Tyler Ty Thomas murder, which is a Peru College State student who was missing who has been missing since December 3rd of 2010. And it is believed that Joshua Keadle is the one that's responsible for her murder. And we have been following this case and attending some of the court dates to get live, information from the trial. And we have like people being other people who's been going to the court to the trial too as well, and giving us information. So when I do my reviews, I'm doing a lot of the review that I do personally on this case is from my time being spent there at the trial for 8-9 hours during the day, and also from other sources who go on the days that I don't go. I just turned this light down a little bit because it seemed to be too bright. And then also from things that we've heard on the news. So let me pull up a few of the links here that I saved from yesterday. Now, the last day that I went to court was actually Thursday. Thursday was day 9. The trial started 2 Mondays ago. So Thursday was day 9 and Friday was day 10. And actually, from a source at the courthouse, they had said that they were wrapping up or coming close to having no more witnesses to testify. They said in the beginning that the trial could last about 3 weeks. Then again, I told y'all before, I heard 2 weeks. So we're going to court Monday. But we truly believe that the trial will probably be wrapped up by Tuesday. So we're going Monday again to get some live footage, some live information from the court trial. And again, everything that I say during my interview, during this review of the case, if anybody was there at the courthouse, if I say the wrong name or anything like that, please correct me. We cannot take cameras in there. We can't take video in there unless you're with the news crew. So everything that I have is basically wrote down or taken from bits and pieces from the news. But 98% of what I give you is what I actually wrote down. Thank God for speed writing and shorthand that I took in high school. Because it's a lot. It's a lot. You have to write really, really fast to keep up and try to make sure you don't miss anything. So let me make sure my door is locked so I don't be interrupted. Okay. So again, make sure you like the video, share the video. Just to let you know, some of the parts that I'm going to be talking about today, I don't want to say might be explicit, but it might be hard to listen to. So I don't know if you want to have children around. It's not too vulgar or nothing like that. Just some of the details that was given in testimonies. Some recordings that we listened to from when Joshua Keadle was first brought in for questioning. Some things that inmates that he was, jailmates from when he was in jail. Because keep in mind, Joshua Keadle, he is in jail right now, not for the murder of Tyler Thomas, but for a sexual assault against a 15-year-old from a few years ago. And he's set to be released soon from that. So if the trial, if the case doesn't go the way that most people want, which is a guilty verdict, he will be out of prison soon because he done about served all his time from a sexual assault case of a 15-year-old girl. If he do get found guilty in this current murder trial, then he could be facing a long time. And that's what we're hoping for, that he does not get released at all. Hey, Deanna, good morning. Thank you for coming in. Everybody, make sure you like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Now, this is going to be a lot. It's probably going to take me at least an hour to get through everything that I took notes on at the trial. So, again, we're reviewing day 9 and 10 of the State versus Joshua Keadle trial of the murder of Tyler Ty Thomas, a Peru college student who disappeared 10 years ago and is believed that he is responsible for her death. So let me, it would help if I scroll up to the beginning of my notes. Okay, so the last review I did on the coverage of the State versus Keadle trial, one of the last things we discussed was how there were rumors of Ty being pregnant and dating several different guys, one of whom may have been much older, and rumors of her being engaged to a Nick Scalise. But on February 5th, the 8th day of the trial, Nick Scalise, a friend of Tyler Thomas, like I told you before, he had claimed that they had like a, what we would probably call the younger generation situationship, where you messing with somebody, you might be engaged in sexual activity, but you're not really boyfriend and girlfriend. You're just, hanging out, as people would say. Some people might call it that. But he had basically testified that that was not true. They were not boyfriend and girlfriend. They were not to be engaged. He had no knowledge of her being pregnant. A lot of that, if you can remember, I had mentioned before, this was brought up mainly because from some posts on Ty's Facebook page where people thought that she might have been depressed, or some people claim that she might be suicidal. And it was mainly from the defense. The defense is the main ones who's trying to say maybe she was suicidal and maybe she, committed suicide, or she ran off and didn't want to be bothered with anybody anymore, just from some of the Facebook posts that, from the last days that anybody has ever seen or heard of her. That's where they were getting that idea that, Ty was messing around with several different people. And she was pregnant. She was in college. She was depressed. She was stressed. And when she did go missing, the last people who saw her, a few of them was people she had got into a physical altercation with, which was some of her friends. And then the very last person she was seen with was Joshua Keadle. So basically, Nick Scalise, he said that did not happen. They were not engaged and didn't even really have a real relationship. So also on February 5th, former NSP investigator Tom Reinhardt testified about the search along the Missouri River for Ty Thomas after she went missing to start afternoon testimony. The former NSP investigator, they testified that tire tracks similar to Keadle's were seen near the Missouri River banks. And this is what most of this show is going to be about today, is everything that Joshua Keadle said happened from the time he saw Ty that night 2 days later. So that's basically what this part of the review is going to be about. And those tracks at the Missouri River is going to come into play a little later. So the former NSP investigators testified that tire tracks similar to Keadle's were seen near the Missouri River banks, and there were what looked to be like drag marks that go into the water. The defense is arguing that the investigator didn't know if dogs and people had searched that area recently, or if a dog may have slid down the bank. Former NSP investigator Tom Reinhardt confirms to the defense he doesn't know if it was actually a body that was being drugged from those drag marks. FBI investigator Jeff Becker said something had either been drugged up the bank or going up the bank when discussing marks found at the Missouri River. The defense argued there was no blood found at the bank of the Missouri River. No one tested to see if Keadle's footprints were there, which was a crazy thing that a lot of us was thinking in court the other day. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so they couldn't confirm the footprints were Keadle's because no one tested it, and no one knows if a human body was dragged in the dirt. And also on February 5th, it was a bombshell testimony given by former jailmate that I was talking about before of Keadle's named Corey Pfeiffer, who testified that he was with Josh Keadle in the Nemaha County Jail, and Keadle confessed to killing Tyler Ty Thomas. What he actually said, and this is where it's going to get a little bit explicit, what he actually said, this is the jailmate of Joshua Keadle. He said, I fucked that black girl at Peru College and I threw her body in the river and I'll never be found guilty of it. And Pfeiffer said he didn't come forward until 2017 with the information when he saw something on the news about it. The defense went after Pfeiffer, saying he changed his story during his interview, had chances to come forward for many years, and was doing it for money. But Corey claims the only money he was paid was gas money to get to the trial. Now, on February 6th, which is the last day I was in court, Thursday, on February 6th, on the 9th day of the trial, by the way, it's in Gage County. For those of y'all who don't know, it's in Gage County, Beatrice, Nebraska. It's some hours away from where I live. So we literally have to drive, get up early in the morning, drive down there, and drive back after court. But prosecutors were playing another interview with Keadle where this time he admits to being at the river with Ty. Now, before, in my last review, I had mentioned how Ty was with Keadle that night, but we didn't find that out till later because he kept denying that he had seen her, that he was with her, until a few days later when they had told him that they could track his phone and find out, and track Ty's phone and find out if they were together that night. That's when he started to confess that he was actually with Ty that night. So we're going to start off with the prosecutors. Agent John Doherty was the first one they called to the stand. He actually helped with the missing persons report, and he interviewed Keadle during phase 2 of the investigation. Agent Doherty had taken Keadle, had Keadle take them to the dorms and down to the river and like the whole nine. Basically, he was talking to them about what happened. And then it got to a point where they was like, well, we kind of like believe you up to this point, but could you really like walk us through what happened? So then after talking for a while, they actually got into one of the patrol vehicles and took the same route that Joshua Keadle said him and Ty took that night. So that's what that's what this is going to lead up to. So he had them take them to the dorms, down to the river, and to the boat dock, and north of the boat dock to the campfire area, which was actually exhibits. And these exhibits are basically pictures that I'm referring to when I say exhibits. Exhibits 163 to 167 was pictures of the river, the boat docks, the dorms, the campfire area. And in part of the trial, prosecutors had showed exhibits 171 through 174, which was more pics from the campfire area. And the pics from the campfire area, just to give you a visual, is along the Missouri River, and literally, you're a few feet from the river, like from the drop off of the river. That's where Josh and Ty was at. So literally by the drop off, by the boat dock of the Missouri River. And there's a little campfire area over there where people like to start campfires. Okay. So, Keadle had accompanied them around the campfire area. Doherty Agent John Doherty, had mentioned how dark it was out there and the low visibility, right before they played the recording of the investigation. Exhibit 192, which was part of the continued interview from December 7th and December 8th of 2010, a few days after Ty had went missing. On the recording, we heard Agent Doherty read Keadle his Miranda rights. He told him basically, you're not under arrest, you're free to go, the Miranda rights. And we heard Keadle say he was giving a statement freely and voluntarily. That's what he said on tape. So, excuse me, 30 minutes into his at least the 30 minutes into at least the third law enforcement interview was when Keadle admits to being with Ty Thomas the night she went missing on December 3rd of 2010. And hold on a second. Investigators continued the December 8th interview at the Missouri River boat dock in the campfire area with Josh Keadle, where he explains what has happened, and he also tries to help them find evidence to corroborate his story. So that's what we're getting into right now. Now, some of the questions Keadle was asked was like, do you think Ty, now this was on the video, the recorder. So some of the questions that they were asking, some of the recording is from before they left for the dorm and during while they was down, by the river. So he was asked, do you think Ty might still be out there frozen in a specific place? Keadle said he looked for her with a flashlight but didn't see any footprints in the sand. He said he even panicked at one point and started screaming her name really loud, like 4 times. He also said somebody else could have picked her up and took her back to the dorm. He pointed in a direction to the north of the trail where she might have walked, but it led to woods. So then he was like, well, she probably didn't go into the woods. They asked him, did he drag something? Because they had pictures of drag marks showing something had been dragged. And he said no. And they asked, could she have possibly been hurt and dragged herself? Like, could she have been limping or anything? And he said she was walking fine when he last saw her. He couldn't explain the drag marks either. So they suggested, that's when they suggested, he go down to the river with them so he can show them where it all occurred. And at this point, they stopped the tape, and the prosecutor asked the witness, Agent John Doherty. He said, just to confirm, he asked, was it the campfire area where Joshua was going to take them? And Agent Doherty said yes. So they start the tape back up again. They're playing it in the courtroom for us. So Agent Doherty goes on to say, talk us through the scene, Josh, where you saw Ty that night and when you picked her up, to fill in some of the gaps, because they can't really figure out where to go from there after, he was trying to tell them what happened. So the tape stops again, and the prosecutor asks Agent Doherty, where did they ask Josh to start? And Agent Doherty said, at the dorms, and the tape starts up again. Josh said he left the complex to go down to the river to smoke weed. He stopped at a stop sign and saw her running towards him. The tape stops again. The prosecutors asked Agent Doherty, was a stop sign like en route from the dorm? And the Agent Doherty said yes. They start the tape back up. Josh said Ty jumped into the truck and started going off about her friends. Remember in the last review, she had got into it with her friends, with Sharia, back at Sharia's place. And so she started going off to Josh, I got into it with my friends. Sharia, she's jealous of me. She's trying to take advantage of me. So Ty, this is what Josh is saying that Ty said. Ty said, fuck them. And all this time, Josh said he was just sitting there listening. And he also mentioned how her speech was kind of slurred. And remember, her friends had said that Ty was drinking that night. He said he took the road to Olive Street from Peru to the river. And he also mentioned how he didn't see anybody else on the road that night. He noticed that she was acting like she might like vomit or get sick, throw up. So he told her he had something in the back of the back of his truck if she gets sick. But she told him that she didn't have to vomit. So then she went on, these is Josh's words, of course. And let me turn my notifications off on my phone. I thought I had them off. Okay. So remember, these are Josh's words of what he's claiming Ty did and said that evening. So then she went on to say her friends tried to jump her. And Josh did mention how cold, because they asked him about the weather that night. And he mentioned how cold and windy it was that night. And Ty didn't have a coat, which we mentioned before. Ty didn't have a coat that night. And Ty had mentioned to him that she needed to go to Omaha, but she didn't have any gas money. So he was like, no, I'm not taking you to Omaha. You ain't got no gas money. He was like, no. But she kept insisting, and he kept saying no. Then he asked her, does she smoke weed? And she said she used to, but she stopped because she was on probation. Now, he said on the way to the river, there was 2 maintenance roads, because remember, Josh is leading the agents and the detectives on the route. So the detectives saw a couple of maintenance roads, and they asked him, did he use either of these roads? One of the maintenance roads was locked and the other one was unlocked. It was open, and Josh said no. He mentioned that Ty kept begging him to take her to Omaha, but again, he kept saying no. Josh led them to a sand area where they kind of like circled around a boat ramp. They kind of went in, and then they did a circle and kind of like backed up. And then he turned his lights off. Then he said Ty started at that moment when they had went to the boat ramp near the water. Josh had turned around. He had backed up. The rear of his truck was near the water. So that was the closest part of the truck that was by the water, was the rear of the truck. So just, picture the truck being backed up to the river. That's how he said him and Ty was in the car. Then he said after, Ty repeatedly asking him to take her to Omaha because she was upset with her friends and she just wanted to come back to Omaha to where we are, for the weekend. And he kept telling her no. Then he said she started to become flirtatious with him and started playing with his ear. Then she reached over and grabbed his crotch. We're going to get a little explicit here, just a little bit. Then she reached over and grabbed his crotch. And she said, she kept saying, you want to take me to Omaha. This is how he was saying it, okay? He was like saying, you want to take me to Omaha, while she's caressing him in that area. And she said to him, if you would take me to Omaha, I'll have sex with you. Now, keep in mind, from the last reviews that I did and for everything we heard thus far already about their relationship, they really didn't like each other. They always fought. He would be calling her name out of her name. She'd call him out of name. They never got along. Everybody who testified about them testified they was oil and water. They never got along. They couldn't stand each other. But at this point, because she wants to go back to Omaha, he's saying that she started to get flirtatious with him and reached over and grabbed his crotch and said, I will have sex with you if you take me to Omaha. But he claims that she said, not tonight though, because she was on her period, on her menstruation. But she promised to have sex with him once her period was off. He then was like, okay, that's cool, but there's other things that you can do when you're on your period. And you know what he was leading to? Well, I think most of y'all do. What he was leading up to was her giving him a blowjob. She could do that if she was on her period. He claims that she said she don't know how to give a blowjob or never gave one before, don't know how. But she offered to give him a hand job. So he was like, okay, that's cool. So he said he leaned back in his seat, pulled his pants down, pulled his, out, and she proceeded to give him a hand job. Now, he claims that she said, I'll give you a hand job, but do not ejaculate on me. Don't get anything on me, not on my hand, nothing like that. And she asked him to please let me know when you're about to, wrap it up. finish the job. And so he said, okay. And he said there was some brown paper towels, like you would get from a store or restaurant or something. There's some brown paper towels in the middle console of his truck. And he told her that he'll use the brown paper towels to clean himself up or to finish on, per se, so he don't get any on her hand. This is what he said, So, and this is kind of hard to talk about, by the way. So, that's what he did. So after he finished, he did it on the tile, on the paper towels. This is what he's saying. And then after that, he said he got out the truck and started to smoke his weed. And he claims that she stayed in the truck playing around with her phone. So Josh then took the agents down to the river where he said he was smoking, which was about 10 to 15 feet away from the truck near the water. He told the agent he goes there often to smoke weed. He also said he remembered about that particular night that the lighthouse across the way was bright as fuck. That's what he said. It was bright as fuck south of the river. He said he fired up his weed while Ty was in the truck messing with her phone. He then said he was all relaxed and all he was thinking the whole time while he was smoking and getting high was, I'm not taking this girl to Omaha. She didn't know that though. And so then he told her he's not taking her. So then he said Ty got out of the truck and told him to quit playing with her. He then said he told her he was taking her back to the dorm. He then claimed she got combative, started to get combative with him and started cursing at him and coming towards him. And he claims he started to back up from her when she would start coming towards him. The agent mentioned, how dark it was out there the night that Josh had took them down there to reenact what happened. And Josh said the night he was there, his park lights was on that night, so it was much brighter. And then again, he said also the lighthouse. He claimed the lighthouse lights was on and it was bright. Then Agent Doherty told him he could see better also that night because when you smoke weed, and I did not know this, but when you smoke weed, the drug makes your eyes dilate. So they said that's probably why he could see a lot better then as well. Josh also mentioned that he couldn't remember if he had his truck running the entire time, but he didn't keep telling her, but he did keep telling her to get into the truck so they can go back to the dorms. Just want to edit that real quick because I didn't. But he did keep telling her to get into the truck so they can go back to the dorms while they were standing behind the truck near the water. He claimed she was in a fighting mood that time. She was combative. She was in a fighting mood. She started swinging at him. And he said he again started backing up from her. He then said Ty walked to the side of the truck, stopped, and threw her phone at him, was by the river. So the phone went towards the river. But when he looked back, he claims he couldn't see where the phone landed. He told her again he's not taking her to Omaha. Then he said she told him she's going to tell everybody that he tried to rape her if he didn't take her to Omaha. And then he went on to say, I told her, it's cold as fuck. Let's just go. Let's just get back in the truck. Let's just leave, and go back to the dorm. But he said she still wouldn't get into the truck. He then claims he went and opened his door, the driver's side, looked back at her and told her to come on or I'm leaving you. But she didn't move. So he said he got into the truck and drove off. He then said he stopped at a bridge and sent a text message around like 2:12 or 2:13 a.m. and text a girl named, I think she said her name was Jerica or something like that. He told her he threw up, took a shower, and then went to bed. Now, before y'all all start asking, what does that have to do with anything? You'll see later when that person testifies. Okay. Then the agent asked, did you take a shower? And if so, why? And Josh claimed he took one because he felt like he needed a shower. Then that's when Jade, Ty's cousin, remember before, during the night that Ty was missing, Ty had started texting her friends, some in Omaha, some in Peru, some of her classmates, and telling them she's lost. So at that time, Josh said Jade, which is one of their classmates down there and also Ty's cousin knocked on his door and said, "Have you seen Ty?" And Jade told Josh they were going to look for Ty. At first, he said he thought Jade was going to tell him that Ty claimed that he did something to her. He then said he texted Jerica to see if she wanted to go with him to look for Ty. But he claims he ended up going back by himself and looking for her on his own and thought he might actually see her walking up the road from the campfire to the boat dock. He said he stopped and started yelling, "Ty, Ty." They even asked him, "How did you yell her name? How loud was it?" He was yelling, "Ty, Ty, Ty, where are you? Ty, are you out here?" So he was yelling and near the campfire area. And exhibit 172 and 174 showed the pictures of the campfire area right by the water. He also said his lights was on when he went back so he could see. Now, at that time, we broke back for lunch. Hey, Rob Black, good morning. How are you? I'm just reviewing the last few days we were in court for the Joshua Keadle trial for the murder of Ty Thomas. So at that time, we broke for lunch. And make sure you guys, again, like the video, share the video. So after lunch, they started with exhibit 192. Josh showed Agent Doherty, because Agent Doherty is still on the stand testifying. Josh showed Agent Doherty where he stopped to look for her with his lights on, and he yelled, "Tyler, Ty, Tyler," loud around the campfire. He said he yelled about 3 or 4 times. He thought he had heard a rustle in the bushes, northwest of the campfire area. So he claimed he walked to where he might have thought he would see maybe some footprints, and he thought to himself, "Where the fuck is she?" He said he goes back to his car and went down the side road like a detour road. So the agent says, "Let's look near the brush." Agent Doherty said, show them where he thought she might have been. So Josh, he walks and points northwest of the campfire area, and he said he knows from past experiences that it leads to the woods. And again, he had said earlier, I don't think she might have will go into the woods. When they asked what she had on, he said she had on some black skinny jeans and no coat. Agent Doherty said, "Well, could she have possibly crawled under something and maybe fell asleep?" And Josh said, "That's a possibility." Then another cop named Britton Sargenfrey said, "Come over here. Do you see this?" And he said, Britton Sargenfrey said, "It almost looks like leaves were cleared away, like some leaves were cleared, like something was dragged." And then it was like, "Is that a burnt piece of wood over there?" And then they said, "Hold on, Josh, what's back here?" They did a little bit more walking, through some more bushes, and then they asked, "Have Ty ever been out there before?" He said, "No, not with him." Agent said it looks like, some people burn, a lot of stuff back there. Then they said they saw a green Mountain Dew can. They were just like looking for clues, basically, of her being out there. They said they saw a green Mountain Dew can, as they kept walking. They mentioned how hard it was to see, like it was really, really dark out there, but they kept walking. Then Agent Doherty said, "Let's drive over to the side road, a different track to the same, that leads up to kind of like the same place near the boat ramp to look for the brown paper towels that Josh," they was just trying to have some proof to corroborate his story. And he had mentioned that when she was giving him a hand job, she said, "Please do not finish on me." And he said, "I'll, finish on these brown paper towels that I have in the middle console of my truck." So he had told the detectives he had discarded it and threw it out the truck. So that's what they were looking for. So they was walking around, looking for brown paper towels that he said he used to wipe up his, his semen. Then they asked, did he walk any further into the grass, because they couldn't find the paper towels. Now, at that point, they were then north of the boat ramp area, right before you make a turn on Olive Street. Then they asked to peek into his car to see, or his truck, to make sure, to see if Ty's phone might have been in the truck, because they couldn't find Ty. They couldn't find her phone. And they were just trying to find something to corroborate his story. He said, "Sure." Then they asked Josh, did he say that he searched the cemetery? And he said, yes, I did search the cemetery. So he said he drove through the cemetery, but he didn't see anything because the cemetery was like on the way back, from the river, on the way back to go to the dorms. As they were driving away from the boat ramp, they asked him, did he look anywhere else, like even in town? They also asked him, could she have fallen into the river? Since people said she was drinking that night, like being drunk or anything, or having too much, being too intoxicated, do you think she could have possibly dropped, fell or in the river? And he couldn't confirm, if he thought maybe that could happen or not. But they asked him that because they were like literally a few feet away from the drop off into the river where they were hanging out that night. They said, could she have maybe fell in the river, when she was searching for her phone that she threw at you, when she got upset because you wouldn't take her back to Omaha? They also asked, did he see any footprints by the edge when he came back to look for her? No. Then the agents asked, has he cleaned his car, like either the inside or the outside? No. At that point was when Josh agreed to allow his truck to be searched. He said they could absolutely search his car once back in town. And remember, all this was on recording. So Josh asked at that point, Josh asked, could they go off record? He asked, could they turn off the tape recorder and go off record because he had some questions. And around this time, they said it was 2017 o'clock military time. I think that, I don't know what time that is. Like, actually, I don't know military time. I'll figure it out later. But they said it was 2017. And he also wanted to be reminded of his Miranda rights. So not only did he want to go off record and have the recorder turned off, but he also wanted to be reminded of his Miranda rights. He then told them after he was like, sure, you're not under arrest, they reminded him of his Miranda rights, how he's not under arrest, he's free to get an attorney, all that kind of stuff, right? He then told them, that although he and Ty didn't have sex that night because she claimed she was on her period, he wanted a blowjob instead. She said she didn't know how, so she offered him a hand job instead. And he said while she was giving him a hand job, he had actually reached around down the back of her pants while she was sitting in the passenger seat and he was in the driver's seat. He had reached down into her pants and, and so he said I was touching on her butt. Agent Doherty then asked him, if they found Ty, would she have any bruises or injuries on her anywhere, on her face, her neck, especially her neck from like being choked or anything like that? And he claims he only grabbed her by her wrist, like when he claims she got combative and started swinging at him. Agent Doherty then told him that he believes him up to a point, but looking at his explanation and other issues, everything didn't quite fit. And they asked Josh, how's your stay been so far in Peru? Has it been good? And Josh said, yes, it has been up till now. They asked Josh where all Ty was in the truck. He then claims that when he was leaving the dorm to come down to the river to smoke his weed, that Ty, when she first started running towards him, when she seen him by the stop sign leaving the dorm, he says she first jumped in the back of the truck and then she climbed into the front of the truck. And they asked again if they could look for Ty's phone in his car. No, they asked him, did he look for Ty's phone in his car? He said no. They said, did she have any personal items with her, like a purse or anything else? He said no. He then said she did ask him to unlock her phone because she was having troubles with her phone. So he had the password to her phone. Just keep that in mind. He said she asked him to unlock her phone because she was having troubles with it. They asked him, are they going to find any blood inside his vehicle or any proof at all that his vehicle might have bumped her, ran over her, backed into her, anything like that at the river? And then Josh was like, well, why don't y'all just bring in some cadaver dogs? Then the agent Doherty told Josh they are going to look at the right thing to do at that point. Now, at that point, the defense wanted to cross-examine the witness. So the defense asked Agent Doherty, can he recall who drove to the campfire area? And he said Officer Monty drove his SUV and Keadle was in the front passenger seat. The defense asked him to show which way the truck was, and this was on the pictures that we was watching, looking at in court. He asked him to show which way the truck went in and parked near the campfire area. And Doherty confirmed that Josh, he also confirmed that Josh told him everything. Well, Josh said this is everything that happened with him and Ty at the campfire that night, which included Josh saying he heard rustling from the brush and walked northwest to look for Ty. The defense asked, was there any signs of struggle by the stop sign, like where Josh picked up Ty? And they said no. They said, so can you confirm that she basically voluntarily got into the car to talk to Josh? And they said yes. The defense asked, is there any proof Ty was on her period, or that Ty said she stopped smoking weed because she was on probation? Doherty, no, there wasn't. Doherty confirmed Josh leaned back to get a hand job, and Ty said she didn't. She don't want him to get anything on her, and that there was some brown paper towel napkins, in the car that Josh said he would use. Doherty also said they didn't see napkin. He didn't see any napkins for himself, but he heard that Detective Sorgenfrey took pictures of some napkins. The defense then said, can we agree that napkins corroborate with Josh's ejaculating on napkins? They said yes. And Doherty confirmed Josh said he will only find DNA if they found any at all. That they will only find DNA on Ty's butt because he claims that's the only part of her that he touched. Then Doherty confirmed that he gave Josh, the impression that they knew he went down by the river because they told him before that they could find out if he went down there, they could track his phone, they could track her phone. And Doherty said yes. And the defense said, so did y'all lead him to believe that y'all already knew he was at the river because of the fact the cops told Josh they were going to track his phone? And Doherty said yes. The detective was trying to prove that Josh told the truth about going to the river and back to the river and to the cemetery to look for Ty because of the fact that he knew in advance that they would probably track his phone. So the defense was trying to say, well, why would he lie to you about anything, any of the places that he'd been that evening, if y'all told him they could track his phone? The defense then asked if Ty said the defense then asked if Ty had said her phone wasn't working, and that's why she threw her phone. They couldn't confirm that she threw the phone because it wasn't working. He had told them Josh had told them she had got mad and threw the phone at him. So they could confirm that, he was asked to unlock the phone because she was having troubles with it. But the defense asked, did they have proof that Ty was on her period or on probation or the phone not working? No, and no. The defense asked, did Josh text Jerica? Did that corroborate with Josh going to look for Ty? And they couldn't confirm. The defense then said, Josh asked, can they go off tape? Because he wanted to know if something happened after he left her there alive. Like, could he been punished? And Doherty confirmed that. Josh thought actually he could be legally responsible even if he didn't lay a hand on her. So that's what he was trying to make it seem like. This is where they say Josh was probably going by, when he asked to be off record, turn the recorder off, and he wanted to be reminded of his Miranda rights. He wanted to know if he left Ty out there alive, which he claims to this day that he left her out there alive. If he left Ty out there alive and something happened to her, could he be held responsible? Like, let's say he left her out there alive. She tripped and fell in the water because after he left, There's no lights from the car out there. It's by a river. It's dark. It's on a boat dock. Now, although he claimed there was what he said exactly was there was a across the way a lighthouse. He said it was bright as fuck. They couldn't corroborate that because the night they went out there, the agents, when they had him take them back out there, it was dark. There was no lights, so they couldn't see anything, and the only lights they had was their flashlights and the lights from the car. So Josh again was trying to find out if he could be held responsible if anything happened to Ty that night. Will he be held responsible for leaving her out there? The agent Doherty then confirmed that Josh said he didn't take Ty near the campfire area the night he took her down there so he could smoke his weed. He claims they were just by the boat dock area, but when he went back to look for her, he said then he also checked the campfire area along with the water area to look for Ty. The defense then asked, did you use the read technique during interrogation to give Josh like a way out for like if there was an accident or if he accidentally killed her, like backed over her? And Doherty confirmed to Josh, yes, he did like use the read technique basically by saying, you know, we can check your phone records, we can do this, we can do that, you know, to try to get him a way out, to try to be like, okay, this is what happened. But you know, none of that happened. He didn't confess to anything. All he said was he took her down there. They had a little sexual exchange with the hand job, and that's about it. So the defense said Josh was worried when Jade said they were looking for Ty, was he? And Aiden Doherty said, yeah, Josh claims he was worried because of the fact that Ty had told him that she was going to make rape allegations when she went back to the dorm if he wouldn't take her to Omaha. And so Josh, when he claimed Jade knocked on the door after he got back to the dorm, he was scared. Like, oh my God, did Ty come back? This is what he's claiming. Did Ty come back? Did she tell them I did something to her? Did she tell them that I tried to rape her? And Doherty confirmed that's what Josh's fear was. So now it gets redirected back to the prosecutor. They asked basically on December 7th, December 7th interview, because this whole interview that we were listening to in court the other day was from like December 7th and December 8th. They said that Josh initially denied before the December 7th interview. Did Josh initially deny seeing Ty, picking her up, taking her to the river, and even after the interview with the investigator? And they said yes. He didn't actually confess until days later when they told him that they could track his phone. That's when he confessed and started to walk them through what happened to that night. And Doherty also confirmed there was brown paper towels in his car, but not the ones that Josh used. And they never found the one that he said he used to wipe up the semen after the hand job that he claimed he threw out the truck. The prosecutors asked, did he know that Ty's friends knew she wanted to go to Omaha? So they asked him, did he know that Ty's friends, the one that she got into the argument with, the altercation early that night, did they know she wanted to go to Omaha? And also, can you confirm text to Jerica from Josh? They said no. Could have somebody with him be used as an alibi? They said yes. But Doherty couldn't verify the text message to Jerica. He confirmed Josh finally told them he wanted sex from Ty, and he ended up with just a hand job. So right now they're just kind of getting the agent Doherty to confirm a few things that was mentioned. He also confirmed that Josh was concerned about rape allegations when Jade knocked on his door. And Doherty can't confirm, though, if it was also because Josh thought something might have happened to Ty that night. So he could confirm that Josh was scared that Ty might have said he tried to rape her, but they can't confirm that Josh might have been also afraid that something else might have happened to Ty that night. So then it's cross-examined by the defense again. The defense asked one question. Have you ever heard of somebody, because keep in mind, remember, in the last review, one of the witnesses testified that Josh asked them to take his gun and hide it and put it up so nobody could find it, but they said no. That was one of his classmates. Another classmate testified that Josh asked them to use them for an alibi and say he was with them all night. That person didn't realize what was going on at the time, and that's what he testified in court. I didn't know that he was afraid something might have happened to somebody, and that's why he wanted to use me for an alibi. So that's where this cross defense, by the cross exam by the defense question comes from. They asked Agent Doherty, have you ever heard of somebody using a gun, like using a gun on a victim or anything like that, just to get a hand job and nothing else? So they're trying to say, if Josh was trying to ask somebody to hide his gun, was that gun might have been used the night he was with Ty to scare her or to try to get something from her. And Agent Doherty said no, they've never heard of anybody using a gun on somebody just to get a hand job, and no other kind of sexual interaction. And Agent Doherty said no. Now, they did bring on a new witness by the name of Britt Sorgenfrey. I think I'm saying that right. The prosecutors asked, did they take possession of Keadle's BlackBerry phone and of the card that comes out of the phone on December 8th, 2010? This is like the second day of the interview, phase 2. Did they take the phone and the SIM card, out of the BlackBerry of Josh's phone at the time of the arrest and give it to the sheriff? And he said yes. He took the phone number as well. He took phone numbers from that phone as well to identify later. Also, he took a gateway computer from Ty's room and gave it to the Nemaha County Sheriff as well. Detective said he was at the river with Keadle and John Doherty, and he estimated the distance and events being described by the river. And when they went north to the campfire from the boat dock where Josh exited his truck and where the drag marks were about 10 to 15 feet from the river. He also confirmed he never found brown paper towels with semen that Josh said he used, and they never found Ty's phone. When the defense cross-examined, they said, Agent, I lost track real quick. Sorry about that. Sorgenfrey, he confirmed Ty's phone was never found. He confirmed he saw a text from Ty on Chloe's phone. Remember, Ty had texted Chloe, her friend, her classmate, earlier, saying that she was lost. She couldn't find her way. It was dark. She was lost. They said they can confirm that Ty did text Chloe. He didn't take pics of the text, though, because they were asking, like, okay, you saw the text in Chloe's phone. Did you take a picture of it? Did you ask Chloe to forward you the text? Did you do any of that? And they said no. They asked, were you aware if Sprint save text messages or anything like that, like preserve text messages? And he said he wouldn't be surprised if they did. He also said he can't confirm, though, if the phone company can keep text after, for a long period of time. Preserving text messages from a long period of time. He said they used to back in the day, but not really anymore. And now when they do, or when they did used to preserve text messages, it was only for a short period of time. So basically he can't confirm that Sprint or phone companies keep text messages for a long period of time. And he also confirmed that he didn't know if law enforcement had actually contacted Sprint to preserve text messages from Ty. Sorgenfrey also confirmed he is a text expert and he was able to do an on-scene cursory analysis of Ty's computer. He did the cursory analysis to see if it could get him some type or some sort of direction to find Ty. He confirmed all analysis would stay with patrol when he left the company, because he did actually leave the company some time later. Later after the investigation, he ended up, moving on, different career, different company, whatever. So he did confirm that all the analysts he took would have stayed with the company, with the patrol company when he left. He also said normally computers, after being investigated, are completely wiped clean, then normally like sold at an auction or something like that. He confirmed also he can't recall looking through Josh's car before December 7th of 2010. He said he might have just looked in the window, but he can't confirm looking in the actual car. But the car was searched on 12/7/2010. We come to find out a little ways down from the dorm. Now, what had happened was Josh's truck was parked at the dorm, nearby where he lives, but they ended up moving the truck down a little ways because they didn't want to draw a lot of attention because, it was a missing person. People were being questioned and interviewed. So they moved the truck a ways down closer to the Casey's away from the school because they didn't want to draw a lot of attention. And that's where that's where Josh's car was searched. And they were looking for Ty's phone. Sergeant Fry, he said he don't recall seeing any brown paper towels in the middle console of Josh's car. They didn't find Ty's phone. To his knowledge, they didn't seize anything from the car, to his knowledge. And also, he said they searched his dorm that same day. Investigator Sergeant Fry said he didn't seize anything from the dorm, but Detective Monty Lovelace did seize something. They also took, Josh's SIM card again from his computer, and they gave it to Nemaha County Sheriff. Also on 12/7/2010 was when Keadle took him, Lovelace, and Doherty to the river. So he's just confirming this stuff. He doesn't remember if they drove an SUV or not, but they was asking him, like, do you remember the road? Do you remember the trip? Anything about the drive? He said he remembers, hard-packed dirt. It was a lot of potholes. He remembers them driving over a levee or a dike of some sort. He also remembers them driving over like rises and falls, in the road, but don't remember, how tall the rises and the falls were. He thinks the road, he thinks they actually rode in a sedan though, actually, but he claims he wasn't sure. Also, hold on, let me open up my other window. He said also, he said there was like a clearing by the camp where they could drive around, without backing up. He then said he had to spot Monty though, because it was a lot of trees and he wanted to make sure that Monty didn't hit a lot of trees, or back into, any of the trees. So he claimed he spotted Monty from the rear of the car before they finished parking. He said he remembers Keadle was upset about how many times they asked him, did he go to the river? Because it showed him on video, each of the 2 times he went to the river. So I guess Keadle was getting upset because he was like, it's on videotape. Why you keep asking me how many times I went to the river? His car was seen twice on the video. He didn't verify, though, if Keadle sent text to Jerica at 2:13 a.m. He said he didn't know. Remember, a lot of this was a lot of people in this trial, which is the negative part of the trial, because a lot of people sometimes have to be reminded of what they had said or claim they saw or did, because this investigation started 10 years ago. That's when Ty first went missing on December 3rd. So a lot of the witnesses, some of them was like, okay, if I said that, then that's what I said, stuff like that. So keep in mind, this is not a current or recent event. Ty been missing since 2010. So again, a lot of the people who've been questioned, some of their stories, like, the defense, they were, they, how the defense is. Well, you said back on this day, okay, if I said it 10 years ago, that's what I said. So, we didn't heard a lot of this kind of stuff during the trial so far. But anyway, he did confirm, he told Josh they could track his phone. And Josh said, well, why don't you search Ty's, or why don't you try to track Ty's phone as well? And he confirmed Josh was willing to let them look at his phone. So they took it. On that December 8th interview, that's when they took Josh's phone. Then he got redirected by the prosecutor. So Soger Fry confirmed with the prosecutors he took the Gateway computer from Ty's room and a Dell computer from Ty as well. But the Dell computer was actually Monica's computer. One of her classmates, Ty, was using Monica's computer. So Ty had a Gateway, but she also was using a Dell, and the Dell was Monica's computer. He said he did an on-scene exam on the Dell computer as well to see if they could find anything leading to Ty's whereabouts. He confirmed they never found prosecutors just asked him to confirm things again. He confirmed they never found the brown paper towels which Josh discarded at the river. He confirmed text record from the Sprint phone company is not the same as phone extractions which come from the cell phone itself. I didn't even know that, so that's something new for me because I just assumed what you get from a cell phone, if you actually have your cell phone in your hand, what you get from that as far as pictures and all that kind of stuff. The cell phone company actually has the same thing, but it's two different things that go on there. So he did confirm text records from Sprint company is not the same as phone extractions, which come directly from the cell phone itself. He confirmed he couldn't track that you can't track a phone when it's off. You can't track a phone when it's destroyed. You can't track a phone when the battery has been removed. It has to be on and working for, them to track a phone. Then he was cross-examined by defense again, where he confirmed he seized the two computers, both associated with Ty, and did an analysis on the PSY SD card and Dell from Monica's room. He confirmed he can't find the examination report, though. He said it's just gone. That's basically what he said. He said, I don't know, it's just gone. But it was left in the custody of the law enforcement, till the computer was returned to Monica a few months ago. So at this time in the trial, he's just like, I don't know where the exam went. I couldn't tell you where the report went. It's been 10 years. I don't know. Me personally, I don't know why. I don't know. They was making it seem like they didn't know where the records would be or who would have the records, but he claimed they were left with law enforcement. And of course, he had eventually moved on, had stopped working for that company. So he didn't know where the exam report was. So that's the end of him. They're done investigating investigator Soger Fry. So another witness they called to the stand. It was a black girl or a black young lady, Haley Miles, who is from Omaha, and she went to Peru in 2010. Prosecutors basically confirmed with her, how did you know Josh? And she said she was an acquaintance of Josh, and exhibits 217 and 218, which was her own phone number and some text messages she had with Keadle. She had said that he had texted her earlier that night, said he was at the movies. And on his way from Nebraska City, and asked if she wanted to go to the party, because there was parties that night that we discussed, in the last review. She said no because she was doing homework. She was cross-examined by defense, and Haley confirmed that Keadle sent her 2 text messages saying he was at a movie. But from the evidence, it said, from Keadle, nah, we at a movie. She was trying to say that he had told her that he was at a movie and did she want to go to a party. But then they started bringing up exhibits of her text messages, which says something more like he was asking her, did she go to a party? He was saying, nah, they at a movie. So it was like a few different words difference, but to me it seemed like the same thing. He claimed he was at a movie. They talked about a party, which was on campus. One of them was at the baseball house, and one of them was at Shariah's house. And I don't know if there was any other parties, but there was the 2 they mainly focused on at the trial. And they showed her some more checks. They also asked her, did she know how to change Zulu time, which is military time, to CST time? And she said she has no idea how to do that. I don't know why they asked her that. They didn't bring up anything else about that later, so I don't know why they asked her that. And then also, she was redirected by the prosecutor. They showed her an interview report from November 4th, 2010, which says she was in a computer lab doing homework. She confirmed that. Just like she had told Keadle, I don't want to go to a party. I'm doing homework. She said that he wanted to go to the party, and he said that he was driving from Nebraska City to Peru, but she never asked him before, to go to a party. And he said he never asked her to go to a party. So this is where it got a little weird, and again, she was doing her homework. Now, why that is a little weird is because of the fact, if he was driving from Nebraska City to Peru from the movies at one point, then at another point he claimed he was with Ty and he was smoking weed down at the boat dock at the Missouri River. Okay. All right. So they were done with her. They called a new witness. It was a white young lady by the name of Elizabeth Guthrie. She said she knew Josh in 2010. She lives in Lincoln and she did not attend Peru. She said she met him in Norris. Hold on one second. Norfolk. That's where she met him. My spell check changed that word. So she met him in Norfolk and knew him for about a few years before Ty went missing. Now, defense showed her, the prosecutor showed her exhibit of her phone number and phone calls made on December 3rd, 2010, early a.m. Here's another story. She said he initiated the calls to her about him not being able to come over on Friday night, which is, Ty, she went missing early Saturday, which was December 3rd. Friday night was December 2nd. Friday night was also the night he had told Haley he was driving from Nebraska City to Peru for the movies. He also told Elizabeth that he was supposed to come over that Friday night, but he couldn't. He told her that he couldn't come over that night because he had got drunk, he had threw up, he had took a shower, and he had went to bed. So that's like 3 different stories at night, you guys. I hope y'all paying attention. So, before that night, he had made plans with Elizabeth to come over on Friday. But he had hit her up and told her he couldn't. She also mentioned how he seemed really nervous, like something was wrong. The defense, for some reason, didn't want to cross her. So they called another witness. It was a white guy by the name of Jason Jones. I think he was an investigator. I know he was police or law enforcement. I think he was an investigator to be exact. But nevertheless, his name was Jason Jones. Lived in Peru since 1999 and he claimed he was familiar with the roads, on Olive Street, towards the river, around the river. Investigator Jones, basically, when they was looking at exhibits, he showed him like where the state highway was, the county roads going northwest to Oregon Street in Peru, the roads to the cemetery, dirt roads leading to California Street. Basically, he was just, showing that he's very familiar with the area and the different roads and the highways and, things like that. They asked him what's the most direct road, to the boat ramp. He said Olive Street, to the boat ramp, to Fifth Street. And then he also said that if Ty was leaving the complex to Fifth Street, you could enter 2 different ways to park, and there's no other stop sign. Because remember, Josh had mentioned that, she had ran to a stop sign to where he was and jumped in his car. So basically, he was just, confirming certain roads and streets and things like that. They showed 3 more exhibits, 108, which was downtown Peru, 109, which was Olive Street to the river, and 110, which was the levee. He confirmed, yes, you do have to drive over a levee, which is not a really big deal, because they asked him, is it a big deal driving over this levee? Like, is it really high? Is it really, He was like, no, it's not really a big deal. It's about 16 feet tall, and there's no other option to go to the river that way besides to drive over that levee, to get to the river. Again, no cross-examine from the defense. Then they bring in investigator Monty Lovelace. And he confirmed he participated in searching Josh's dorm, and he had actually was the one to get Josh's clothes that he wore to the river. Exhibit 193 was a pair of blue jeans. Exhibit 194 was a dark long sleeve shirt. And Exhibit 195 was a gray hoodie sweatshirt. Exhibit 196 was a pair of brown slip-on shoes. Now, the brown slip-on shoes, some of y'all might be familiar with. You know, it's like sometimes they wear those shoes in jail. The brown slip-on slippers. You know, I see guys wearing them a lot. You know, they're like the brown, light brown slip-on slippers. Some of y'all might know, you know, what I'm referring to. So that was Exhibit 196. And he confirmed, Josh said he deleted Facebook messages and text messages every single day because of OCD. So they had asked him about, you know, Josh's, did you check his phone? Did you check his text message? He said, yeah, but a lot of things were deleted. And when questioned Josh about it, he said he has OCD. So he deletes a lot of Facebook messages and text messages every day. He was Monty Lovelace, the investigator, was cross-examined by the defense. The defense grabbed Exhibit 196, the shoes, those brown slip-on slippers. He grabbed the shoes to show, did you guys like check the footprints down by the campfire where the drag marks were? Did you compare the footprints with these brown slip-on slippers that Josh said he wore that night? And he said no. Monty didn't recall reporting foot tracks near the drag marks, and he said he can't confirm that they should have even, you know, checked the foot marks out, because he said he don't remember like a distinct or a specific shoe mark or anything like that, you know, by the drag marks. Monty said also not necessarily would they have taken a cast of a shoe track either. He said because it wasn't like something distinctive or specific like that. He also claims that he wasn't involved in that part of the investigation. And he don't know if a crime scene analysis was done, you know, or if the shoe tracks were the footprint tracks was investigated. So he didn't know. Redirect from the prosecutor. They asked, did Keadle tell you that those were the exact shoes that he wore? And Monty Lovelace said yes. And that was the end of that witness. There was another witness by the name of Michael Fisher, FBI agent from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's a computer scientist and of electronic devices as well. And back when he was an electrical engineer, a forensic investigator in Quantico, Virginia, that's what he was doing when he was called to examine Josh's cell phone, which was submitted by the FBI in Nebraska, which was Exhibit 214. He confirmed that he bypassed the locks on the phone by attaching wires to the central processor of the phone to do the digital report, which was Exhibit 251. He did a digital report and he did a phone extraction. He said he's not always successful recovering deleted information. It depends on how much data is on the phone or how long it's been off. And again, Josh said he deletes his text messages and his Facebook messages every single day because of OCD. Now, the defense, they didn't feel a need to cross-examine. Hey, Betty White, how you doing? You said if you had to be an attorney, would you be a defense or a prosecutor? I don't know. I'd probably be a prosecutor. Betty White, I would probably be a prosecutor. And by the way, a lot of people know I always wanted to be in law enforcement, but I didn't do it. And then the next witness they called in was, let's see. Hold on right here. Okay, and then from this was on February 7th. February 7th, a Lincoln PD certified blood stain analysis was testifying about retesting Keadle's vehicle for blood stains. She testified that she tested 7 different parts of the car, including a hair tie, and didn't find blood stains or DNA on the items. Prosecutors show surveillance videos. This was like on the last day of the trial. The trial isn't over, but this is all what happened on the most recent day of the trial, that wrapped up on Friday. And again, we have like a few more days before the trial is set to be over. But Friday, the prosecutors, what's that Friday? The 7th? What's today, y'all? Today is the 8th. Yep. Okay. So, prosecutors showed surveillance video from Peru State Bank the night Ty Thomas went missing. They said it showed Josh Keadle's vehicle passing the same direction at 2:09 a.m. and 3:15 a.m., but didn't see him going the other direction. Prosecutors have not revealed a timeline of what they think happened and why Keadle was only seen driving one direction twice the night Ty went missing. Remember, they had asked him, did he take any other roads? 2 of those roads were maintenance roads. One of them, remember, was locked. The other one was missing. They asked him, did he take any detours? He said no. But on surveillance video from Peru State Bank, the night Ty Thomas went missing, they said it shows Josh Keadle's vehicle passing the same direction. The same direction. Like, how could you go? How did you come back? How did you come back? Because he's claiming them was the only routes that he used. So anyway, it showed he went the same direction at 2:09 a.m. and again at 3:15 a.m., but didn't see him go the other direction. So again, prosecutors have not revealed a timeline of what they think happened and why Keadle was only seen driving one direction twice that night. The video showed Keadle's Ford Explorer heading south towards the campus. The bank is near the road that goes to the boat ramp. Prosecutors show surveillance video from Peru State Bank the night Ty Thomas went missing. I already read that. My bad. The video show his Florida was headed south to the campus. Okay, I read that already. Defense attorney Matt McDonald questioned a Nebraska Attorney General investigator, Kerry Crosby, as to how the entire murder timeline adds up. Prosecutors has yet to reveal how it all comes together. Eugene Beardsley, the CFO of Peru State College, also testified about Tyler Thomas' phone accessing hotspots on campus before she went missing. So her phone was accessing hotspots before she was missing, but down at the campground, they couldn't track her phone like at the water, at the campfire area, at the boat ramp. But before she was missing that night, when she was out, partying and drinking, and, when she got into it with her friends, when she went to the baseball house party, her phone was accessing hotspots during then. And remember, Keadle has said that he had actually texted somebody after he left Ty. He drove up to the bridge and he texted somebody and told them he was at the movies and he was driving from Nebraska City and asking them that they want to go to a party. So he was able to use her phone out there, his phone out there, but her phone, they couldn't track, that she was out there. So Keadle's defense team is also questioning who is actually in charge of the entire Ty Thomas investigation. So far, no investigators could answer that question. I did remember, I think it was when they was talking to Sorgenfrey, and I think I'm saying that name wrong, but Sorgenfrey or something like that, that he had mentioned that they weren't at that time all on one case. Basically, people were on different cases at that time because they were asking like, well, who had the records? Was the law enforcement responsible for the records, the phone and the computer, and where the records at? They had asked him, do you even care what the records was? And he was like, yeah, I care, but when I left, they were in the hands of the law enforcement. I don't know where they are now. So the defense team was questioning like who was actually in charge of the Ty Thomas investigation, and so far no investigator could answer that question. Prosecution argues each agency can do their part but doesn't have to have one lead. Nebraska AG Office Investigator Ed Sexton testified that Josh Keadle was never friends with Ty Thomas on Facebook. The defense argued she posted about drinking problems and deleted about 100 friends from FB about 24 hours before her disappearance. Now, I had looked up Tyler Thomas's Facebook page the other day, and it was several Facebook posts on there, like leading up to the last time that people had saw her, or leading up to the last time people had heard from her. Some of them text messages, some of those Facebook posts were actually the reason why the defense is trying to say that Ty, being that they had heard rumors. These is all rumors now. Her mother had never heard of her being engaged, didn't hear about her getting pregnant. Her friends never heard of her being engaged, didn't know about her being pregnant. The guy that was said to be engaged with Ty claims they were never engaged. They weren't even in a relationship. He said we weren't even boyfriend and girlfriend. We were just messing around. In other words, like I like to call AKA a situationship, where you just kicking it with somebody. You're not tied down to each other. You're not monogamous. You know what I'm saying? It's a situationship. You just hanging out, having fun, having sex, whatever you want to do, but you're not in a actual relationship. So he, told them that that's not true. We was never engaged to be married. What the defense was trying to say again was that, because of these rumors about Ty messing with this guy here in Omaha, messing with this guy, they was making it seem like she was messing with several different men, making it seem like she was pregnant. I don't know where the rumors came from, because Ty's friends had never heard of the rumors. Even her cousin Jade, who went to school with her in Peru, has said, I don't believe these rumors. I don't know. They just up and heard it one day. That Ty, they don't know where the rumors derive from, who started the rumors. But even Ty's own cousin Jade, who was one of the first people to look for her that night, said, I don't believe those rumors. I don't think Ty was ever pregnant. So that's mainly what the defense, the defense is trying to turn this case into, that Ty had some issues. She might have had issues with a boyfriend or a lover, or her son's or daughter's father, because they saying she was pregnant. So if Ty was pregnant, of course, without her, her body, still been missing, there's no proof that she was pregnant at all. And then the fact that Joshua had testified that Ty told him that night when she asked him, begged for him to take her to Omaha, he claimed that Ty had offered him sex in exchange for him taking her to Omaha, but she said, we can't have sex tonight because I'm on my period. And so then he was like, well, there's other things you can do when you on your period. You can give me a blowjob. And she was like, she said she didn't know how to give a blowjob. So that's when he settled for a hand job. And when the detectives was asking him if they found Ty, will we find any bruises on her, any marks on her body, her neck, her face, anything like that? He said, well, if you find any DNA at all, it would just be on her butt, because when she was giving me a hand job, from the passenger seat, he said he reached around or reached behind her and put his hand inside her pants and touched her butt. And they said, so that's all you did? You didn't touch anywhere else in her pants or anything like that? And he again said no. And he was like, when we was listening to the testimony and the recording, he was like, no, I did say she was on her period. He was like, like, why would I touch her down there if she just told me she's on her period? So again, as far as the rumors saying that she was pregnant, and then he even testifying that Ty told him she was on her period, is I don't. Again, don't nobody know where the rumors derive from. Don't nobody know who started the rumors or anything like that. But her family and friends do not believe that she committed suicide. They don't believe that at all. As a matter of fact, I had told y'all before in a previous review that Ty just had been given permission through Peru College to start a dance team. One of her friends and classmates had also testified that she was like the vice president on the team, and Ty was like the president of the team. And Ty was really excited, about the dance team. And so when I had looked up, excuse me, because they did mention a few things from Ty's timeline on her Facebook page. So I had went and I checked out her Facebook page and everything, and there was mention on her Facebook page that she was excited, that she had got approved to start a dance team. And matter of fact, on November 30th, and these are all public posts, by the way, these are public posts, anybody can see them. So I'm not reading any private messages or anything, but on November 30th of 2010, which was a few days before she went missing, she had actually posted on her page, "Hey loser faces, I just got my dance team approved. Oh my God, I'm so excited. We are going to be hot," in capital letters, HOT, laugh out loud. Who going to come out into the show to show some support when we have our first performance? So that was one of the posts that Ty had posted on her page. Now, before that, on November 30th, she had made a post that said, "Do I ever cross your mind anytime?" And that is a song. Those are lyrics from a song. I don't know if she was referring to a song or if she was referring to somebody in particular. Before that, on November 30th, she had posted, "If things were different, would she be here?" The day before that, she had posted "Guess What World" with a whole bunch of question marks. Before that, on November 29th, she had posted "I'm speechless." Before that, November 29th, she posted "I got a confession." Let's see. Before that, there was another post that I wanted to hold on, let me find it. Okay, I think it's close. Okay, let me go the opposite direction. I think the post I'm looking for is closer to the day. Okay. Okay, December 1st, she had posted, "I'm so happy God made me in capital letters. Oh, and plus my parents, laugh out loud. Thanks God. Thank guys for all letting me be here on earth." After that, on December 1st, she said, "I am just finna focus on my schoolwork. Pray for me. I need to pass everything this semester." After that, on December 1st, she said, OMG, I just want to scream, but I'm trying not to let this person get the best of me. Man, face world, what should I do? And people was asking her what's going on. She mentioned she thinks somebody is lying to her. She also mentioned it's hard to confront someone when I'm in Peru, So I guess she was referring to somebody who wasn't in Peru, where she was at school. Then on December 1st, she posted, "What you did to me was a crime. Cold case love." And they also mentioned this post in trial. They mentioned this exact post in trial, December 1st, 2010. It said, "What you did to me was a crime. Cold case love, and I let you reach me one more time, but that's enough. Your love is breaking the law, but I needed a witness, so wake me up. When it's over, it don't make any difference. Would it ever be slowed, or am I taking the fault? We open up a cold case love, and it got the best of us." And I do believe that's a song, but I'm not sure. And that was the last post that we see from Ty on her Facebook page. So, again, some of those posts, she was thanking God, thanking her parents for having her, thanking God that she's here. And one of the posts, she was excited about being given permission by Peru State College to start the dance team and was looking forward to performing and have people coming out to support their performance. And another post, it seemed like she might have been upset with somebody. I don't know if it was somebody she was romantically involved with or a friend or anything like that. Remember the night that that Keadle claimed she got in his car, she was claiming that she believed her friends were lying to her, taking advantage of her. They had gotten a fight. She was like, F them all, take me to Omaha. So it's, again, these are some of the reasons why the defense is thinking that Ty could have possibly been suicidal, and she could have possibly, I don't know if they're trying to assume that she could have possibly jumped in the river or ran off somewhere or did something else to herself. I don't know. But that is all that we have on the trial right now. Again, like 95% of that information I read to you was my personal encounter at the courtroom in trial, listening, through trial. So, with that being said, everybody, I had heard that trial might actually be over by next Tuesday. So, there are a lot of people who are hoping and praying that Josh be found guilty of Tyler Ty Thomas's murder. A lot of things just don't add up. They still don't. Like how he lied repeatedly, time and time again in interviews, that he wasn't with her, he didn't see her, none of that. She wasn't in his car. And then once he found out his phone could be tracked, that's when he's like, okay, I was with her. She got in my car. She wanted me to take her to Omaha. She offered sex. These are two people who never got along. Like, never got along. Always argued and fought. Never got along. Never was together. Never hung out together. But that night, she offered him sex to take her to Omaha. And she was never seen alive again. Then he had asked to go off record and asked for the tape recorder to be turned off because he had questions about if he could be held responsible, like as far as of any crime, if he left her down there alive and something happened to her after he left there down there alive. As far as the video showing his truck, it shows him going the same direction twice. It doesn't show him coming back. He claims he had went down there twice. Remember how he had got upset about them asking him how many times did he go down there, because of the video surveillance didn't show him coming back, and the bank is on the way back from the riverbank. Again, there were maintenance roads. One was locked, one was open. There was detour roads, but he claimed he didn't take those roads. So a lot of things just don't add up, and a lot of stuff is still circumstantial. So at this point, me personally, I just can't say which way the case might go. I'm praying, though, that if he is truly guilty, like if he is truly guilty of the crime, that he be found guilty. I would never want anybody to be found guilty if they really weren't. But, a lot of stuff is circumstantial. A lot of stuff don't add up. A lot of, I don't know. It seems to be a lot of gaps in his story. To me, it seems to still be a lot of gaps in his story. Then the fact that the jailmate of his testified saying, when we were in jail together, he told me that he fucked that black girl from Peru State. He dumped her body in the Missouri River and left her out there, and that he would never be charged for the crime. The fact that the night of Ty's disappearance, he told one person he was at the movies in Nebraska City and was driving to Peru and was asking about going to a party when he got back to Peru. Another girl, he told her earlier he was going to hook up with her and meet her at her house that night. He didn't text her right after he left Ty and said, I'm sorry I can't come. I got drunk. I threw up and I'm going home to take a shower. It's that's why I said it's a lot of things that's not adding up, you know. So again, if he truly is guilty, I hope and pray to God that they find him guilty, because again, there might be some circumstantial evidence, but a lot of the stories that he is telling and he has told doesn't add up. It really doesn't. So with that being said, everybody, that is the latest information that I have from being at the trial, sitting at the trial, and hearing words from my other sources who's also been, going to the trial with us. Again, the trial is in Beatrice, so it's a few hours away. We have to drive there and come back. And it's really taxing, not for me per se, but for the family of Ties, because they down there in a small town. They don't know anybody. They stand at a hotel. The community here in Omaha, some businesses donated to a Cash App to fund their hotel stay down there, and their food and gas and all that kind of stuff. So, but still, it's really taxing on them. Listening to this stuff that he claims he did or didn't do, or stuff like that, and hearing people talk about their loved one, some in a positive way, some in a negative way. So this is really taxing on the family, which is why I always say before I end my review of this trial to please keep the parties involved, Ty's family, in your prayers. If you're in Omaha, feel free to come down. Me and several others, we go down to the courthouse. We sit in and we listen to the trial, to be there for support as well, and also to bring information back to the city to let people know what's going on. This case is not being recorded live. Like, some trials are live. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on the news. It's being recorded by the news media, Channel 3. I think it's KMT. It's Channel 3 in Omaha. And it's being recorded, but it's not being recorded live. And basically all they do, every time I check the news for what they got, they post in like 30 seconds a day of some footage, a minute maybe of some footage, and maybe a few paragraphs, but bits and pieces from the trial. So that's why, some of us has been going down there so that we can get a lot more info as what's really going on and bring it back to the public. A lot of people don't even remember this happening. Like, they remember it happening, but they don't remember like the details. Some people didn't remember who the girl was, her name, who the guy was in the case that was associated with Ty. So that's basically what I'm trying to do, is keep Ty's name out there, keep the story out there, because this is one of those stories that was swept under the rug for a long time. As a matter of fact, the last day I was in trial, there was a guy who was sitting next to me, and he was an older gentleman. He had a cane. He had a little difficulty walking. And he sat next to me. Well, actually, I sat next to him because I came in after him. I sat next to him, and I think after lunch, when we came back, the guy had asked me, he said, is that all her family over there? Is that her mom? I said, yeah, that's Ty's mom. And me not knowing exactly who he is at first, I was like, he might be with the other side. I ain't gonna give him too much information or talk to him for that matter, because I'm here to support Ty and her family. So he said, is that her mom? And I said, yeah, that's my mom. He said, she looks just like her mom. She said, she's beautiful and her daughter's beautiful. And she said, are you related to the family? I said, no, I'm not related to the family, but I'm from Omaha. I'm here to support the family, blah, blah, blah. And then it was a pause. And I was like, should I ask? And I just asked. I said, are you here for him? Are you related to him? He said, hell no. He got all loud. I was like, oh, shoot. Because we had just came back in the courtroom from lunch. So people were coming in, and the prosecutors and, the defense team was sitting up the front. Josh was up there on the side of the fence. And, the courtroom is kind of small. So Josh, and the defense attorneys, they're probably like 5 rows in front of us, or 4 rows in front of us. So he was getting loud, and I was like, oh shoot, what did I got started? But anyway, he was like, hell no, I ain't with them. I started chuckling. I said, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. And I said, so who are you here for then? Are you just here to watch? And he said, I remember when this happened in 2010. He said, I remember distinctly the story. He said, I live 30 miles from Peru. So if you leave the courthouse where we was in Beatrice, he's not that far from where he lives. But we got to drive a lot longer farther in the other direction. He said, I'm 30 miles from Peru. He said, he remembers when it happened, but he said, then he remembers the chatter about it. Then he remembers it died down. Then he remembers not hearing anything else. And his thought was back then was, oh, the guy got off. He's not going to trial. They don't think he did it. That was his thought. So when he heard in the news, in the media, that Joshua Keadle was in trial for the murder of Tyler Thomas, he said, I had to come. He said, I had to come. And when he was looking at the guy, Josh, in court, he said, that guy just gives me the creeps. He said, he just gives me the creeps. He said, I cannot believe that it took 10 years for them to bring this to trial. And I said, well, how do you think we feel? How do you think the family feel? This man has no association with the family, no association with the defense, with Josh and his family. He said, I'm just here because I want to see if they're going to find him guilty. Because he said, I believe he did it. He said, I believe he did it. Now, again, I assume because the guy was white, Josh is white, his family and theirs white. I assume that he was with them to support them, but he's not. He said, I'm not affiliated with either side, but I'm here to see if justice is going to be served because he remembers when it happened in 2010. So, and I asked him, how many days have you been in court? He said, I've been here like 6 days. I said, really? And so if he stays 30 minutes outside of Peru, it takes him 50 minutes to drive from his town to Beatrice. So it takes us like over an hour and a half. So it's a little shorter trip from him, but he has no affiliation with the defense, the prosecutors, the families on either side, no affiliation. And he just wants to be there to see if they're going to find him guilty because he thinks that he's responsible for it. And, that's what we're hoping, that he be found guilty. So keep everybody in your prayers. Tyler's family, her mom, her grandma, her brothers, her father, a lot. Those are about the only ones down there. It's about 5 of them down there. So again, some of us from Omaha been going down there to support them and also to keep up with the story so people in Omaha can be, up to date on the story and what's going on. Because again, the media is not giving you nowhere near the coverage that, and I'm like, why are they even down there all day? It's crazy. They're down there all day from start to finish, recording the entire time, video, sound, audio, everything. And then when it's time for the news to come on, it's just little tidbits, of what happened. So anyway, you guys make sure you please like the video, share the video. Again, if you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know every time I go live or update information or upload a video. I don't just cover news stories. I do reviews on TV shows, movies, documentaries, news stories, celebrities, our hood from Omaha to your hood. So, we do a lot of things on this channel, interviews, promote people in the city, promote people with talents, just promote people that's doing things, that's popping out here in the community and everything. So we do a lot on our platform. And again, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and IG. Feel free to inbox me on IG or Facebook. If you have a story, like some people do, send me stuff like, could you talk about this or could you talk about this topic, whether it's something to do with kids or family or the news or a celebrity. You know, people send me stuff and I look over it. And a lot of times I do, you know, discuss or bring up what people send me because, you know, it's interesting to say the least. So make sure, again, you guys like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And as usual, my Hood Table Squad and also my Tanya's Primetime TV Squad. Thanks for tuning in. Be safe, stay blessed, and I'm out. Deuces.